A sudden shuffle behind you, and Losa's mouth is close to your ear.
Psst. Hey, Chief. I need to have a little chat with old Mal's about something. Mind if I butt in?
There you are, Losa. I've been eager to hear a little update. Did you do as I instructed?
Yeah, about that.
Oh, do tell. This sounds interesting.
That's one word for it, I guess. I met Jahan, and he tried the exorcism, but it didn't work. The demon's still knocking around in there, in here.
Well, leave it to me, Losa. Mama Malady will think of something.
You will?
Of course I will. Surely you know by now you're my favorite.
Really? I didn't think you liked anyone.
I didn't say I liked you, I said you're my favorite. The cherry pit at the top of the rubbish heap, if you will.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
It's the nicest thing I've ever said. Aren't you supposed to be off learning how to become the divine and whatnot?
Her eyes flash with something, anger perhaps, or fear.
But never mind. We'd better focus on the task at hand.
She looks straight ahead, ignoring you.
Well, aren't you industrious? It seems all the riffraff's back aboard as well.
After many adventures, the party finally reached the place where Godwo can go to become divine. But more surprises and difficult choices awaited.
Here we are, the Nameless Isle. And here I thought Malady was unimaginative. Still, it's what's on the inside that counts, isn't that right? And this is the place you're meant to become a god. I can't help but wonder exactly what you intend to do with such a power. I have no doubt about that, but do remember, you can do what's good for you, too. All things in balance, you know. You'll want to hurry now. Divinity is waiting, after all. Excellent question. Normally, this place ought only to be known to Godwoken, but judging by the ships burning in the bay, there's been a breach, let's call it. Regardless of who's on the island, all that matters is who ascends. Make sure that's you. The strongest will survive and ascend. I'm hardly an expert on the matter, but I'm smart enough to put two and two together. Where there is an ocean of source, there is a well for drawing from it. To rise to divinity, you probably need to take a gulp, though I'm sure it won't be that simple.
Gareth greets you warmly. He's oddly chipper. More chipper than you've ever seen him, and certainly more chipper than most people mourning dead loved ones.
I should thank you. I don't know what came over me. Praise Lucian, I had you to put me on the right track. Not bad. Took some time to think. My parents led good lives. I'd rather celebrate them for the love they gave me than to wail over their loss. Besides, we have work to do. Once we anchor at the Nameless Isle, I'll scout ahead, see if I can help locate the council and ease the way. I'll report to you on what I find. Right you are, right you are. Luckily, I've learned a few lessons, and as you know, I've a pretty good punch.
Gareth winks farewell and hums to himself. You recognize the tune, Blessed and Bold, a hymn praising Lucian.
Look at that island, Quercus. Covered in forest. A true forest. Can you smell it over the stink of the water? Millennia of mulch. Those woods are ancient. Where better to find a clue about the Great Acorn? Some of those trees could even date back to the first forest. The Knights of Dre will never find us here. A perfect sanctuary to pause and complete our research. There's no rest for the wicked, Quercus. And even less for those out to save the world, it seems. Somewhere on this ancient isle, there must be a clue that will help us stop the acorn. We must tread carefully. I'm sure such a wonderland will be dangerous, but at least it should be free from the Knights of Dre. What would we do, Quercus? Why, we'd make them sorry they ever left their mothers' nests. Anyway, we have something for your new best friend.
The squirrel reaches out and hands you a piece of bark covered in tiny, scratched handwriting.
Something I discovered in your lizard friend's basement. She won't miss it, but use it well.
Sabine slides her hand in yours, makes your heart skip a beat with her particularly coquettish smile.
I've something I need to tell you.
She scrapes her throat, hesitates, almost as if she's a bit nervous. There's a first.
I'm afraid you're going to accuse me of killing the mood, but the thing is, I need to talk to you about the Master. No, not anymore, or so I hope. My dear, sweet boy, I've grown to trust you, more than I've trusted anyone since I've had names on my skin. Wasn't easy, I know. Come, sit down with me for a moment.
You both sit down, cross-legged, knees to knees, hand in hand. Suddenly, a melody. Sabine sings a song, haunting in its simplicity. She uses no words, sounds rather. It's beautiful, yet somehow menacing.
This is my Scar song. It's all the Master needs to make me his slave once more, unless your voice opposes his. I will soon confront him, with you by my side. My life and my liberty I place in these soft, strong hands of yours. Will you sing? Thank you.
Her cat's eyes close as she leans in for a kiss.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought...
She scrambles to her feet, hurt and embarrassed.
Just sing the song when the moment comes, please.
Okay, wait. Before we go any further, there's something I want to ask you. Okay, so... Did you hear the one about the pregnant lich? She forgot her prophylactory. You're very generous, thank you. I just want to lighten the mood, the smallest of scooches. I mean, we're at the Nameless Isle. One of us is about to ascend to Divinity, and we still don't know exactly who. I guess things are about to get, interesting. Same to you, Chief. Same to you. And when push comes to shove, I'll try not to shove too hard.
I can sense the raw powers of the Source rippling through the air. The island, yonder. It is doom or destiny. Naught but the demon I'm hunting. A trivial task, really, compared to your current pursuits of divinity.
Jahan takes you by the arm, his voice a whisper.
By the by, do please remember the warning I gave you in the woods. Should Losa come close to divine ascension, you must act. You must kill her.
Tread carefully, my dear. Those are black ring banners that I spy on the shore. I studied the tablet that you so generously provided. It showed me everything I need to know about creating a functional Swornbreaker. Once I have that, I'll be free of the Covenant. And free to spend the rest of my days with Mahalli. See those structures further inland? Remarkably like those from the caverns of the Black Pits, aren't they? Should you discover the parts needed for a Swornbreaker, please bring them to me. I'll make it worth your while. Also, you will likely encounter sworn followers of the God King on that island, I suspect. I would avoid combat if possible. Death can be less than final for them, if the God King wills it.
Almira doesn't respond right away. Instead, she turns and gazes intently at the island. After a long moment, she finally speaks.
I sense a familiar presence. The Sallow Man. Yes. He's there somewhere. Likely commanding Black Ring forces. You should seek him out. He's a foul creature, but not opposed to cutting a deal. Beware his underlings, though. If they challenge your presence, pose as a thrall of mine, and you should gain safe passage. My name should still command respect among them.
Quite a journey I've found myself on with you. Is this where it ends, I wonder? Dangers indeed. You can almost hear the sounds of battle when the wind shifts correctly. And where there's battle, there's bound to be mercenaries. Gleku Duma, the words of the lone wolves. No doubt my former comrades will have them in their employ. Speak their words, and you might pass. Speak their words, and you might pass. Consider it a token of my thanks for the assistance in retrieving anathema. Pursuit of my interests has led me to fall in with some disreputable company in my time. For a short while, one such group was the Black Ring. I know, not something to be proud of, but they let me do as I wished, so desperate they were for aid after the Deathfog cut them down to size. A fine arrangement, until they started preaching about this God King and his infernal covenant.
He snorts derisively.
The last thing this world needs is another would-be god, and an army of fools willing to follow him. It's a sop to all the fools who think that someone will grant them power and immortality in return for loyalty. This God King has caused to make war with the Seven, and the Covenant is how he's gathered his army. They become sworn, as it was put to me, bound to serve, die, and be reborn for the God King for as long as he wishes. Then, at some ill-defined point in the future, they think they'll be rewarded. You should have seen them all, on their knees worshipping a new tyrant just to spite 7 old ones. I got away from them while I still could. Unfortunately, Dallas was waiting to snatch me. There's a clue in the name. He's a god, or something that wants to be a god. Continue to march to the Seven's beat, and I'm sure you'll find out exactly what he is. They're all the same, you know. Tyrants, liars, carrion birds. The best thing would be for them all to destroy each other and leave the rest of us to live in peace. My efforts continue. I must admit it's quite an intricate piece to work with, even for someone like myself. I remain confident of success, though.
A hulking Black Ring captain glares at you with his one eye. The other one, a weeping socket surrounded by recent burn wounds.
You're not one of mine. You're not from headquarters either. Explain yourself, or I'll open you up and rip out an answer myself.
His blade is inching out of its scabbard, even as he speaks.
Almira, apologies, mistress. I'd never have dreamed of questioning any thrall of yours.
He bows and gestures for you to pass.
Ever strike you that life is just a series of islands? Like, you put down roots, something upends it all, and then you sail off and put roots down somewhere else. It's just islands, one after the other. You think I want to be the head of the Order? All I care about is dealing with that royal arsepain, and a divine sure as hell would be capable of doing just that. I ain't thought beyond there, and I ain't gonna prime that pump till I have to. I know I'm fumbling along here. I know the ways of royalty and the ways of piracy, but I know shite about divinity. All these people looking to guide me, and I'm still no sure how one divines or whatever. But hey, you make good fumbling company.
Beast looks left, then right, then down, unsure if his compliment hit its mark. Beast flashes a relieved grin and absent-mindedly begins to twist 3 strands of beard hair into a braid.
Let me tell you a story about Justinia. I think we were, say, age 10 at the time. My pop was off who knows where, spreading his seed in that oh-so-charming manner of his. So let's just say the court had its hands full. There was a big reception one night. The ridiculous kind, where all the ladies wear dresses and all the men wear finery. Yeah, everyone looks starched. Well, everyone acts starched. So I decided to surprise all the noble farts at dinner. Snuck into the kitchen. They had a giant boar on a platter with an apple in its mouth. Longer than Laura herself, and not much fatter either. The cook put the lid on and set it down for the steward to take. And then I made my move. I dragged off that pig when no one was looking and stuffed it in a floor cupboard. Then I crawled onto the platter and pulled the lid up over me. Wasn't too long before the steward showed up and wheeled me into the banquet, none the wiser. If you like that part, you'll love what happened next. Some stuffy duke yanks off the lid and good old Beastie jumps out. Caused quite the stir. Queen wanted me gone, but little cousin Justinia, she had my back. Told Queen Laura it was all her idea, and she got a whooping on her backside and sent to bed without supper. So the point is, well, I ain't sure. I guess that she has a good heart, but somewhere along the way it got soiled. Forward. I know it's probably not the answer you wanted, but I can't think of much else to say about it. Weird, right? One of us will ascend soon, and, well, there's only one divinity. We've got choices to make, and we can't put him off forever.
Well, this place is, welcoming, isn't it? I saw the mass death caused by the Divine Order's war firsthand. If Divinity can do the opposite of that, I'm interested. And if it can't, what good is it? You're right. The gods may be dead, but we still live. That has to mean something.
Ifan shrugs and turns to survey the environment, squinting into the distance.
I think we should find out what it is. We should keep our eyes on the prize. Divinity.
Ifan claps you on the shoulder and beams at you, affection for you plain in his eyes.
How may I help you? And I remember saying I'd probably never tell you. Then again, why not? I suppose some stories were always meant to be told. So, here goes. No, hang on.
She retrieves a small flask from her backpack, uncorks it, and takes a big swig. Tears stream from her eyes as she offers you the flask.
They're tears of joy, I assure you. Here, have some joy.
You drink. It burns. Soon the tears run down your cheeks as well.
Not bad, is it? So good it has us crying like babies. Now then, the epic of The Master and the Scar. Sounds like a melodramatic opera. There was, of course, some singing involved. It began when I woke in the dark room. He removed my blindfold, and still I did not see. He himself was darker than any shadow. But I could hear him give orders to another. Stingtail. How he came to regret the actions he performed that day. The master bid the dream a dream, and so he did. He sat there. I could feel his hands upon my cheeks. He trembled, as if in pain. I didn't know what was going on until quite suddenly, his right hand became a flame. I screamed as he traced the design of the scar into my searing flesh, but I could not move, not an inch. And all the while the master looked on in darkest silence. Like I said before, didn't exactly feel like a kiss. So, once the scarring was over, and the pain began to fade, the training began. With words, whistles, snaps of the fingers even, the master could make me obey his every command. Young, strong, smart. You know I don't exactly lack in qualities. Didn't take him long to train me in the arts of stealth, subterfuge, and assassination. It shakes me little now, all too little. But that first time, that first real kill? It was such stuff as nightmares are made on. I had now lived in the dark for what might as well have been years. I was in a wood, but the trees there were sick. Grey, leafless hydras sticking out of ashen earth. There were no stars that night. She sat, shivering beside a fire. I was nervous. I had to chase her. My hand hated itself, tried to resist, but there is no resisting the Master's song. My stabs weren't as mercifully exact as they should have been. I had to bring down the needle again and again as her screams flooded the forest with terror. When it was done, I crawled back to the Master, broken, crept back into the box, and through its cold black lid, he told me I had done well. Next time, I'd do better. You understand me completely. With the needle, I'll kill him. And with the needle, I'll strike his name from my skin. The bastard will be master no longer. Oh, honey, you should be. It was a trust not lightly given, I assure you. The mere recollection of this tune, it haunts me. Sometimes, in dreams, I hear it whistled, and I fear it's real. I fear I'll never wake up again because it holds me enthralled in the night. And when I think of what it made me do, it's enough to make me want to flay whoever sings it.
She pats your shoulder awkwardly.
But darling, no need to tense up so. I'd never do that to you. Well, not unless you'd attempt to sing the song before we meet the Master. But you're far too smart for any such shenanigans, aren't you? Of course you are. Now then, on a more serious note, why didn't you kiss me? I don't need to be. Pity you don't want to be. The very best.
She cocks her head ever so slightly and eyes you as innocently as a kitten.
Why? Don't tell me you disagree. Thank you. I quite agree, and I'm sure I'll have mercy on you when I'm a goddess. You, but a mortal at my feet. In all seriousness, though, the prospect both tickles and terrifies me. I mean, divinity. Will it be a blessing or a burden? Would we be truly omnipotent, or merely the servants of an unruly universe, as desperate for control as we are now? And then there's the question that makes me shiver most of all. Would we still be ourselves? Would I remain Sibyl, or would my mortal soul die upon gaining divine immortality? Take the plunge and don't look back, huh? As good a plan as any, I presume.
She sighs and closes her eyes, then smiles her easy smile.
Such a silly game we play, to be a god. It's quite wasted on mortals, if you ask me. We are all of us too blemished to become immaculate. I have a feeling about this place. I think it's possible the Master isn't far off. If I'm right, if I find him, he has a date with a needle. Whatever comes after that, comes after that.
Yes? Is it an audience you desire? It's most intriguing. A message from the House of Shadows. The ones who so fruitlessly sent assassins after my good self. Well, first, I will hear the man out. If he can lead me to Sadher, well, I can spare my ears a moment or two for that. Besides, only polite, I always say, to hear a man out before beheading him. What house? Ha! A peculiar query. But very well, I'm no stranger to parlor games. Let's see. From what I gather, you've a certain martial quality about you. a desire for conquest, for victory won by the blade. There can be no doubt that would place you in the esteemed House of War. Congratulations. Don't get your hopes up. We don't adopt. Surely it's obvious. Ascension awaits. Once we manage to gain access to the actual Well of Ascension. That is not to say I'm not dying to have a word with the House of Shadows.
Lohse looks pale and unfocused. She doesn't meet your eyes.
Yes! I'm fine.
Well, this all looks familiar. Large, impressive, glowing stones. It certainly has all the hallmarks of my people. Although we did not plaster our faces on every spare surface. That is the doing of your gods. It is not enough for them to curse you with their faces. Must they inflict them on stone too? I mean, at this point, it's just tacky. It certainly has that air to it, but I would make a terrible guide. Whatever place this once was, it was destroyed long before your time. We must access the Council of Seven. But do let's be careful. Despite appearances, I have survived a lot. I would rather not experience death here.
Nothing to see here. Please move along. I know it's doomed. All will die, and all will fall to ruin. You bring chaos here. You bring death. Leave me out of it. Leave me be.
Do you serve the God King's scum? You serve the great Almira. The sallow man will want to speak with you. Take this.
He hands you a mirror of the blackest glass. The glass is black, at first, but then a sickly haze begins to form, like sand upon a pond. The haze shimmers and becomes a face, a one-faced stranger looking straight at you. You feel his hate, his avarice, his thirst for blood, God-woken blood. He does not speak, and yet he asks you who you are. You know the wrong answer will send this man, this sallow man, into a ferocious rage. His eyes burn into yours. You feel the hot flood of his hate, his rage, his madness. And you know the Black Ring are now sworn to see you dead. The mirror fades to black. Forktongue's lips curl into a smile.
I see that you know, that I know, that you know that Sallow wants you dead.
You do not look Black Ring. Explain yourself.
The elf's deep golden eyes go wide. A strange smile dances across his mouth, and he starts to roar with laughter.
You! The gods chose you as their champion. Run home, little God-woken. You find only death here. We have all swatted flies. That is not what lies ahead of you. You are not worthy of this temple. Leave. Run back to your hearth. Cower there while death searches for you.
The laughter dies from the elf's eyes, replaced with weary seriousness.
Good. It is proper that the God-woken should not be so easily pushed away. Too many are not ready for the trials ahead. You may proceed. You find no threat here. Not from me, at least. The island is not overrun. This temple stands strong. The other gods were clearly not as powerful as Tersendelius. In his fortress, the Black Ring do not succeed. They do not kill the God-woken, but they do not fail. Now, knights and God-woken both cower behind monsters, tied to sticks.
The elf raises a bushy eyebrow.
One demands from one's lessers. I am your equal, Godwoken. Once, I stand where you stand. My gods chosen, fighting to be the divine. The trials do not kill me, but neither do I triumph. Another becomes divine, and I remain here to serve Tersendelius and protect his chosen. It is not the place of a knight to reveal such things. We walked your path once. You must discover it yourself, as we did. Turn to the gods. Their guidance alone will lead you.
The bear gives you a serious look. She opens her mouth wide, her great fangs on display for you. Then she clears her throat.
Can I ask you a philosophical question? Doesn't that depend on the weather? Anyway, if a tree falls in a forest and the whole place is covered in death fog, does anyone care? I escaped. Thousands didn't. They barely had the time to scream.
She gives you a long, wet-eyed look. Her lip begins to tremble, which on a bear is an impressive sight. She tries not to cry.
I thought no one cared. I thought no one cared but elves and bears. This gives me hope, this does. Lots of hope. Oh, thank you.
With a sigh, she turns away.
Speak, Godwoken, but be sharp. Time passes quickly. I am a knight of Tersendelius, one of the last living knights on this island. Once I could stand with you, my god's chosen champion, Godwoken. I do not ascend, but nor do I die in the trials. So I dedicate my life to Tersendelius and protect the Godwoken that come here. That is not for a knight to say. Only the gods may guide you. Pray at their altars and hear their wisdom. He and his circus have claimed the top level of my temple. They have come to stop the ascension. They are doing all they can to kill the Godwoken and defile our temples, but we will not be so easily cowed.
The priestess is oblivious to you. Instead, she's locked in frantic, desperate prayer.
Almighty Duna, save your children. Deliver us from the void. Almighty Duna, save your children. Deliver us from the void. Almighty...
The priestess breaks off her prayer just long enough to shoot you a look of disgust.
Get away from me, foul blasphemer!
Have you been to the temple of Zolstissa? Is the King's Knight safe? Is Zolstissa's chosen champion safe? Good news, at least for now. I thank you for your kindness. I shall pray for my kin's deliverance.
He lowers his head, closes his eyes, and silently begins to pray.
I will have your head, Seeker.
Be at ease, Magister Rowe. Weapons down. Gareth, I have done you a grave injustice. I was deceived, and I was too weak, too naive to see it.
Alexander holds his hands outwards towards Gareth, his blade resting flat across his palms, a gesture of goodwill and peace.
Godwoken, have you come to witness the death of the noble coward? How fortunate! You can tell the tale of Lucien's other wayward son. Amusing you should defend this slug's life on the basis of his ignorance. Have you seen the terror this man has wrought? Have you forgotten of the purgatory he threw you into? Have you forgotten what he has taken from me? My friends, my parents, my life, a life dedicated to service at his father's side. I've forgotten nothing. Alexander, you are the sinner, yet the gods have allowed us to suffer for it. I would kill you 100 times over if given the chance.
Gareth looks to you, then to Alexander. He digs his teeth into his lower lip until blood seeps out from the tender skin. The silence is thick, yet neither Gareth nor Alexander move.
You are not Damien. You are not Damien. Damien. My sins have been as great as yours, Alexander. I've just been too blind to see them. It's just Your father. You could forgive Alexander when I could not, Godwoken. I hope you show me the same kindness. I will meet you aboard the Lady Vengeance when you are ready.
As you approach Alexander, Ifan catches you by the shoulder.
You know how long I've sought Alexander. I need this. Understood.
Ifan strides forwards and feints a punch at Alexander's nose with his right hand. As the Divine Bishop raises his hands to protect himself, Ifan grasps both of his wrists and headbutts him. As Alexander staggers back, blood streaming from his nose, Ifan tightens his grip on Alexander's wrists and spits a question.
Why? Why did you and Lucian send me on a suicide mission to kill the elves? Why did you lie to me?
Alexander wrenches his hands free from Ifan's grasp and holds his broken nose, blood streaming between his shaking fingers.
Why? The same reason we did everything. To protect the realm. What price all of Rivellon against just one portion? Any divine would do the same if it meant saving everything. You should be proud my father picked you. His best right-hand man. He knew you would make it. But he also knew that if he told you the truth, you would falter. He knew you well, Ifan. He knew you'd have to be tricked. But I'm his son. I can be trusted to the end, and I will take any actions necessary for the good of all. Nothing can stop me, not even death.
Ifan draws his weapon. His hands are steady, calm, and controlled as can be. Just as he is about to move towards Alexander, he stops. He looks at you. And he shakes his head and looks away, striding with purpose towards Alexander.
Death stops everyone eventually. You rose from the dead once. You won't rise this time.
He halts, looking you in the eye. As he lowers his weapon, he smiles a shrewd smile, all teeth and promise.
For you, I can stop. For you, I can trust.
You're thinking the same thing. Alexander wants to be the new divine.
Divinity requires a certain strength of character this whippersnapper woefully misses.
We're talking about the same person, right? Trusting Alexander to be divine would be proof of madness.
Over my dead body.
Far be it from me to judge the plain, simple mind that dwells within that man's skull. But no. Simply no.
Didn't that guy pretty much invent Fort Joy? Imagine him as the divine.
He hardly has his father's qualities. Besides, he's not to be trusted.
Alexander knew. Lucian knew. I was nothing but a pawn.
His face darkens, and his hands shake.
Power truly corrupted Alexander, just as it did Lucian.
He raises one eyebrow and folds his arms protectively across his chest.
We'll see. We'll see.
If you have something to say, sorcerer, just spit it out. No. Quite the opposite, in fact. I am more alive than ever. I walk in my father's footsteps, and soon I shall become the divine. I was born for this duty. As long as he lived, my father groomed me to take his place, to speak for the gods. And make no mistake, divinity is a duty, not a reward. Others may be able to claim the mantle, but only I can shoulder the burden, the responsibility. She had her accomplice, Vriedemann, pose as someone who could train me how to master my god-woken powers. But it was a lie. They sought to hinder, not help. While I was being occupied by Vriedemann, Dallis began taking over the Order. I confronted them once I returned from the Hall of Echoes, and the pair of them tried to kill me. They must be Black Ring agents, tasked with preventing me from ascending. They won't succeed, though. I know what needs to be done, and I have good, loyal Magister and Paladin companions to help me see that it is done. I do, and plainly you do not. God-woken you might be, but you are not worthy of becoming divine. Every word you speak betrays the fact. Only I have the will, the strength to do what is necessary. And now that those traitors, Dallas and Friedemann, have no influence over me, the way forward is clear. Make no mistake, Godwoken. I do not need to work with you. I will enter the council when I am fit and ready. But you are desperate. That much is clear. Make yourself of use to me, and I shall help you unlock the council. You must strike down the one who leads the Black Ring on this island. That is my price. Do you really think the future Divine should take such risks? Besides, you're the one seeking help. Perhaps you can put your murderous skills to use for the greater good. He's known as the Sallow Man. My father faced him in battle during the Great War. He's a wicked creature, a master of illusions who hides in the shadows and sends others to do his bidding.
Alexander produces an old cowl and mutters an incantation. The cloth glows a cool blue for a moment before settling back. He hands the cowl over to you.
My father concocted this charm so that he could face the Sallow Man in battle. The cowl has now been laced with its essence. Wear it, and he will be forced to reveal himself. Succeed, and perhaps you can join me inside the council. There we can see who shall be the next Divine, once and for all.
It's strange, Godwoken, how much I thought I knew but didn't. How sure I was of the path Lucian had set me upon. How sure I was of me, of what I was capable of, and what I wasn't. Yes, yes. Yet, one more corpse is just one more corpse, isn't it? All the others, they still dissolve to bone. None that I lost can ever return to me. Perhaps we may at least be reunited in the hall. Before, whenever I needed answers, I'd turn to prayer. Now, when I have questions, I'm not sure whom I'd turn to. I think back and realize a dead Divine never had answers. The wind carried my words to nowhere and everywhere, but certainly not to Lucian's ears. Even so, I don't think I'm ready to trust myself. Not yet.